Peace, love, blessings, and many abundance. I just wanted to make this video to share what I am experiencing for myself. And I just want to wish everyone a happy new galactic year as we come into that tomorrow. Speaking to that, I'll just tell you how I came to the awareness of this wonderful day that is coming upon us. And not just even tomorrow, but today and yesterday. And so I'll just begin by expressing that yesterday I was going to treat myself to some certain things, and while I was driving to go get those things, I had driven past an Applebee's. And I didn't used to live on this side of town. I used to be married and lived in like a whole nother area of the town where I'm at, and now it just so happens that I'm actually living in this area where this Applebee's is. And so I drove past, and I drive by this Applebee's like all the time, especially when I'm going to work and I have to go a certain highway to travel out of town. But for some reason, driving by this Applebee's yesterday, it was quite noticeable, and it triggered me. It triggered me so much that everything that stood for this Applebee's, that I remembered this Applebee's for, just kind of like welled up and reflected within me, to where I had to call one of my best friends and just let her know that I was driving by this Applebee's and I couldn't figure out why today, which was yesterday, which would be July 24th, 2021, why this particular day I felt a certain way, but it brought up everything that this Applebee's stood for. Now, this may sound crazy because no one knows the backstory yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just explain that. And I can't even remember the year, the exact year. I want to say it was 2014. The summer of 2014. Kind of around the same time, like going into August, September, that time. And I was, like I had mentioned before, I was married. And my former husband had filed for divorce. Now, I'm not going to tell all the details and go through all of that, but I went through a lot. Back then, I was in a position where I was not who I am today. I was not anywhere near the strong, independent woman. I physically, I was, my spirit wasn't there yet. And so at that time, when this was happening, I, did not believe in divorce. And I didn't want this to happen, where I really, really did everything within my power to keep my family together. I have a daughter and a son. And my parents are still married. It was very important for me at that time to try to keep that relationship together. And so I was going through quite a bit and very devastated, very desolate. I think I came to the conclusion, seeing and looking back on that time, that was a catalyst moment for me to get me to where I'm at today without even seeing it. But this particular instance yesterday helped me to kind of like warp back into that, to see how this is all transpired, and helped me to come into this awesome ass woman that I am today. And I only continue to increase. But at that time, getting back to the story, it was kind of coming to, I would say almost like a closure type situation, where I had gone through like hell, what seemed like, where I wasn't sleeping. I had spent a lot of nights crying. I was pretty much alone. I had my children and they were there for me. They had no idea what was really going on because they were super, super young, and I didn't let them know anything, which I now know, like, I don't do that anymore. I'm very open with my children, and I let them know. No, I'm not gonna pause because I know that's a distraction. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it and just trust that I'm being heard. But my air conditioner just turned on and I want to turn it off, but I'm not gonna. So what I'll say is that as I was going through this, my former husband at the time had reached out to me after we had kind of been separated and this devastation was taking place. And I remember this day being like, it was a Sunday. Today is a Sunday. And it was one of the, I would say one of the happier times out of all those times that I was actually glad that he had reached out to me. So it turns out he had reached out because there was an emergency with his grandfather, who is no longer here. But he had something happen where he had to go to the hospital. And so my former husband had reached out to me, and I was pretty much there to be a shoulder for him to lean on. Every day I had prayed, I had reached out and sought counsel, just really got in touch with what I knew to be my spirit at the time, which was considering, I would say it consisted of me going to church every Sunday and praying every day, reading my Bible, and just staying faithful overall to myself and to what it is that I believed in and what I wanted to see. And so I believe that that hard work that I had been doing was that payoff day right there, where he was actually coming into an awareness of who it is that he had in his life and was able to reach out to me despite all the stuff that we were going through, and me being able to be there for him. And so this was a very significant day because this had happened. And so as that happened, I was very hopeful. Like I had this feeling like I had asked him about, where we stood and all that, and I didn't want to press it because he was going through this with his grandfather. And so I didn't choose to push the outside things. I just let him know that I was here. I'm still your wife at the time. I'm still your wife. And so, I'm here. And so from that point, I went ahead and I took my children. We went to church. I took my children to this Applebee's. And it's still like, I'll explain, how I took care of this, but it still kind of touches my heart in a certain kind of way. But I just remember everything was so vivid. I took my kids and we sat at this particular table that wasn't necessarily inside of the restaurant, but more in the, if you've been to an Applebee's, they have this separate section where they have tables that are kind of on the window side. And so we sat on the window side and it was very light. It was a very sunny day. It was very beautiful and it was very peaceful and serene. And I was very proud of myself because I was able to take my kids. I had been a homemaker ever since my children were born. I have been a homemaker who stayed at home. It may have had a job or two here, but it was just pretty much to bring in more income. But overall, I had been a homemaker for my children. And so with them two being with me, it was very important to me because I was working at a cake shop at the time. And so I was feeling pretty good that I was able to take my kids out to eat and to be able to pay for my children and I to have a really nice dinner. And then also, not only that, but I took them to get Halloween costumes at this building that was like right next door. It's a Goodwill now, which I think is pretty stellar because I feel that my energy being present there in that building had a lot to do with what it is now, which is giving back to those who have not as much as, most do. But anyway, I just remember being at that dinner with my children and just being really proud of myself because I was coming into more of my independence and what that meant for me. And I still can't even tell the story to kind of really touch on how all those emotions combined together really truly made me feel on the inside and what that really meant for me at that time. And so coming back to today, and we ended up, things ended up coming back together with my former husband and I, but then there were some things that transpired after we came together, decided not to get a divorce, where I was not comfortable with what it represented and how I was feeling as a woman and as a mother. and how I wanted to represent myself towards my children, not only for my children, but for myself. And so things that were continuing on were not resonating with me anymore. So I would say 2 years later, I ended up myself. I feel like I saved myself, and not only myself, but my children and him as well. But I filed for a divorce 2 years later. And I don't believe in divorce, but I do believe in loving myself. And when, you feel like you're, what's the saying, like beating a dead horse? Not to be gruesome or anything, but that saying is just like you can only do so much, where to the point I did feel like I was dying and knew that there had to be, the feeling of God's love was not present in that relationship, and it was only getting worse. And so I knew that I deserved that, and that I wasn't getting that out of this, and nothing was going, it had served its purpose. And so I shifted myself out of that, and it was not easy. But coming into where I'm at now, and that trigger that brought up all of those feelings and all of the treatment that I went through, and getting mad at the same time, but also being grateful for that situation, because had none of that happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, where I am totally independent and totally happy. I'm not in an environment that's toxic. I'm not fighting. I'm not angry. I'm not having to defend myself. I'm not crying. I'm not worrying. I'm not anxious. I'm doing exactly what it is that I want to do. I'm seeing what I want to see from myself. And I'm also taking care of my children very well, just as I had before, but in an even greater way by being a very strong example for what it is for my daughter to see as an independent woman who's not going to take any shit. And then for my son to also see that facet, but to know what it is that he should look for in a very strong woman, to be himself, be within himself, that femininity within himself that's going to match that, if he chooses to, have any kind of serious relationship moving forward in his life. And so I feel coming to that place, like that brought up that reflection for me to see and bring that resurfacing of those feelings so that I can actually appreciate all of that. I'm thankful for every single part of it, and I don't regret any of it to this day. Yes, I hate that it happened the way that it did, but it was a blessing in disguise. And so coming upon that, I called my best friend at that time, like right when I was passing it, and I said, you're not gonna believe, like I'm not gonna keep you. I just wanted to share this with you and how I was feeling. I had to share it with someone. And so she was the first person that I thought of. And so we talked about it, and I just kind of explained everything I had just explained now. And so she totally understood it, because our lives are like super similar. It's amazing the alignments that I have with people now in my life, where our lives are very similar but very different all at the same time. And she totally got it. Like I didn't have to explain a whole lot, but she was referencing, a lot from her situations too, where she was sharing her experiences as well, and we were able to closely relate. And she was able to help me. And so one of the things that she mentioned, she said, when you get your things that are meant for you, once you get those things, I want you to go to that restaurant, and I want you to go sit down at that same table, if you can, and have yourself a nice drink. And she had even asked me, she asked me if I remembered what I had, and I was able to explain and be open to her about every single thing. But she said, I want you to have a nice drink. I want you to have a nice dinner. And I want you to, really take in that situation and realize where you are now. And I said, kind of like closure. I feel like I need to have some closure with the situation. So that's exactly what I did. And so sure enough, I went to go get my things. Everything was pretty much right there for me as I went to go get my personal things. And it was all about the alignment. Like everything, like I had manifested this stuff for myself and for my own comfort. I went and purchased these things, very happy and content with, what I had, gotten for myself. and then went to this Applebee's around the corner. And I didn't sit at the same table, but I was able to sit at the table behind it. And so I was able to, like, it was right in front of me, where I was still able to look and still be in that moment, still remember how it felt at that time, how I was feeling at that time, what that really meant for me, and being there with my 2 children, as a mother, as a woman, going through that transition and not even realizing it at that time. And it was very special for me as I was having this dinner yesterday. So I really enjoyed my dinner. I had even like said a few days before when I was talking to my neighbor that, you know, I don't eat certain things, but you know, this is what I'm craving. We just went through a full moon on Friday night, and I feel that had everything to do with it too, where I had for so long emptied my vessel in order to be able to fill it up with even more greatness and goodness of what I wanted, because it was my choice. And because I'm choosing for myself and utilizing my power, the universe totally helped me with that and brought that in for me. Boom. And so I really enjoyed this dinner. From the time I walked in, every single person that helped me was like a fucking angel. And I'm about to cry. It was very magical. It was very magical. I walked in and the host, this wonderful host of a man, was standing there. It was almost like he was waiting for me. I came in and he asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm wonderful. I said, I would like to sit, you know, if it's okay, if I could sit in this area over here. He was like, oh, absolutely. He's like, let me get that. I'm going to get that ready for you. Like, he was just all over it. And he had a wonderful smile, and I could feel the energy and the care and the love and the genuineness that was coming from this man. And so he helped me, like, just like, you know, steadfast, like he was on it. He got his stuff, and he said, yeah, sure, let me guide you on, you know, let me go ahead and take you on the way here. And so, you know, he got his things and led me down, and it was actually not where I wanted to be. And turns out it didn't work where he had directed me. And so he was like, let me get you a different table. I said, actually, I would like to sit at one of these tables over here if I could. Oh, absolutely. Let me go ahead and get you ready here. He's like, you know, whatever you like. Almost like T.I., you can have whatever you like. And so I picked the table that I wanted. It was right next to the table where I sat before. And he asked me, you know, gave me options on if I wanted to utilize the online menu or if I wanted a paper menu. Like, it was just like catering. It was total cater. And this is only Applebee's, but the whole vibe was just like amazing. And so then I ended up with this wonderful waiter. Everyone had a smile on their face and they were so helpful. And the waiter had even, you know, messed up my order. I wouldn't even say messed up. Nothing was messed up. Nothing could go wrong here because I got both fries and mashed potatoes. I had ordered mashed potatoes, but he had delivered fries that came with my food. And so I had just mentioned, you know, I did ask for mashed potatoes. Oh, you know what? You just keep those fries and you enjoy those fries, and I'm going to bring you those mashed potatoes right away. And so it was just perfect because I had the best of both worlds, because I love French fries too, and they got some really good fries. It was wonderful. I had a great time. And while I was sitting there too, like, I'm sitting here in an overall feeling of abundance. And it doesn't just have to do with the material things. It was the energy itself as well. Because not only did I have everything that I had purposely went out and set out to get, like, it worked out, I would say, even more greater in my favor. Because I got some really nice, comfortable things. I got some really cool things as well that were kind of just like laid out for me. It was like waiting for me, like just there. Like, here, Ronnie, here we go for you. We know you're gonna love this. And I'm just like, okay, sure. You know, I trusted it. I felt good about it. I got those things. And here I am sitting even more magnificent in this Applebee's. And so as I'm eating my food and drinking my nice drink, I'm just really, really enjoying myself. It was nice and peaceful. Everyone around me was pleasant. Like, anything that could have, you know, been seen as a bad situation was not bad at all. And I even noticed while I was sitting that one of the cars had a license plate and it was right in front of me. And I took a picture of it. I don't know, you know, if I could even see it, but because I zoomed in as close as I could. And the license plate said Gypsy. It was GYP, I want to say S, or not S, but CEE. So it was spelled differently, but I noticed it, and it was sparkly. It had a sparkly border that was around it, and I thought that was just super cool. And I'm like, totally, like, I'm a freaking gypsy. Like, this is all magical, and it's happening, and it's wonderful, and I'm loving it, and I'm thankful to the universe. I thank you, God, for these blessings, which I feel I had helped to bring in for myself. My hard work paying off. And so I'm bringing closure to this situation that had triggered me as I drove by it and noticed it and just felt that trigger. Because like I said, I've driven by this place so many times, and you know, I would think about it here and there, but it never felt the way that it felt yesterday. And so coming and sitting here at this place and bringing closure to that situation, I felt it was like I was really putting an end to a situation. And I even had something different. I remember what I had the first time. I made sure, like, because I almost got the same thing, and I said, no, I said, I feel like if I got the same thing, it would almost be like kind of repeating that situation and bringing myself into that energy. I'm gonna get something totally different. So I did, and I really enjoyed. I got what I had wanted, that I had mentioned to my neighbor a few days before. That's what I got, and it was delicious. And I didn't feel guilty about any of it, because I've been fasting and kind of doing, you know, a lot of vegetables and fruits and nuts and all that good stuff, seafood, you know, all that more, just really taking care of myself. And this was a time for me to really treat myself this time, and I did that, and I felt wonderful about it. And from the time that I sat to the time that I left, I just felt like by the time I was walking out of this Applebee's, I felt like I was floating. I just floated to my car, got into my car, went home, came home, you know, did my thing that I do, you know, as my ritual before I go to bed, and I even cleaned my place. Like, I had enough energy where I finished cleaning my home, doing some things that I needed to do, some odds and ends that needed to get done, that I felt needed to get done before I could lay my head down and rest. So I did that, and I had a wonderful nightcap. And so coming into that and telling the story, one of the things I noticed this morning, I picked up my galactic calendar, which I have not touched in quite a while, because I was missing a whole month of June. I still haven't been able to find that, but the staples came out when I first bought it. I have it here just to kind of show you what it consists of. But it ties in the Mayan energy with it being a cosmic calendar. So it's called the Galactic Calendar. And I'll leave the information in the description box about the place where you can order this and purchase it for yourself. And so I just happened to pick it up, and I'm like, let me see, what this energy is about. My spirit, my higher self was all into it today. And like I said, I hadn't touched it in a while. And so I noticed that as I thought I didn't have this past month, it was a whole month of June, but that month of June was like pew, to where I actually had this whole month of July. And I'm like, oh my God, like, really? Did I really have this whole month where I didn't pick this up and utilize it every day to align myself with the energies? I didn't even have to, and I didn't feel bad about it. I mean, I felt bad because I, didn't take part in the way that I normally would, but I did not feel bad because I had already known I was already in alignment. And so I took a further look. Let me show you. And I realized that today, which is the whole reason for this video, is the day, and I'm gonna make sure that you can see this. is where today is the day out of time. Yesterday was the last day of the galactic year. Tomorrow is going to be the new year, the day of the new year. And so it's almost like it can be comparable to December 31st. But this day for the Mayans was a day to really go within and reflect and to align their energies and their spirit with the renewal of the realignment of the calendar year with the solar year. And so it's a combination of the realignment of all and nothing coming together simultaneously, which I think is just supreme. And so when I seen this, it was just like, it was almost like another awakening for me. It was an awakening. This is a new ascension moment for me, which I feel is very important to share. I don't normally make videos this long, but I felt it very important, and I wanted to prepare myself in the right way. This day is zooming by like super fast too. I can't even talk. Like my words are getting jumbled. I noticed a lot in this video, but that's okay because I'm gonna get through it. And we're gonna finish it and get that message out. But it's 3 o'clock and I had set the intention. I woke up super late. I had a very vivid dream with a very strong message, with energies that I am no longer resonating with, but they made their way into my dream. And so I feel like that was another resurfacing of energies that I'm going to have to deal with as far as this portal is concerned, because I'm no longer going to continue with what no longer resonates with me. And so anything that does resurface, I'm going to be thankful for it, but it can't continue with the life that I am moving forward in. And so with this being the day out of time, I just wanted to share this with all of you. I feel, you know, we are a true tribe. Anyone who comes across this message or resonates with this message, we are a true tribe. Today is also the day of the Blue Lunar Night, Kin, and there's, let me go ahead and just explain what that means. And so there's 20 solar tribes. The lunar overall energy, and I took message of this in a whole different sector that has everything and nothing to do with this galactic calendar. But I was getting notes on the differences in the solar energy and the lunar energy. Just happened to take notes, what day was that? On the 16th of July. Took notes on the 16th of July about the difference between solar light and lunar light. And so solar light is what warms the earth and provides energy for growth. Lunar light is cold light. There's no growth on a new moon with lunar energy. And so it's no better than the light of the stars for visibility. In the dark, it gives poor visibility. Illusionary, distorted, confusing, and disorienting. And so I feel for a lot of people that there are things resurfacing that may seem confusing. I feel for those who are more in alignment, are very understanding of these energies and are able to come into a gratefulness for these energies. Whereas those who aren't as aware are going to take these energies and utilize them in a way that may make them more angry. Not necessarily more angry, because the feelings that I had yesterday, I was pissed. I was mad at this person who had brought this energy into my life, but I brought that energy into my life for my activation. No one's to blame. And that's the other conclusion that I came to. That's the disillusionment that is right there. No one is to blame. Anything that you see outside of yourself, you have simply brought that into your existence for your purpose. It's all about what you do with that energy and how you handle that, and whether you stay stuck in that cycle of that energy of being mad and not utilizing that energy to where you are proactive about that energy and making the best of that energy so that you can move forward in strength and in power. And so with that being said, the difference between solar and lunar light. and coming into a realignment. This calendar year, this whole day being the day out of time, being that we're to realign this lunar energy with the blue lunar night. Shout out to those who are in the blue lunar night tribe. But taking that and that balance, that light, the solar, coming into alignment, realignment with the solar energy of the renewal for tomorrow. And then that lunar, that blue lunar night, that balance there, the light and the dark. And having that balance. Maintaining that balance, utilizing that balance, coming together with that balance, and activating your core, staying positive in mindset, and doing proactive things with your energy for today. And I know it's like 3 o'clock, you know, it might be later for those who get this video in different time zones, and it might be earlier, but everything is on time. So I'm not even gonna worry about that. And so another thing I wanted to mention, let's see if I can find it real quick here. And I'm gonna read about the importance of galactic activation portals too, because I do feel that yesterday was a portal day as well. And so that energy there, I felt like me taking care of myself and coming into that closure and closing that portal gate of that past period that was resurfacing itself. I closed that yesterday by going back to the same place and re-energizing myself and utilizing that energy of that being mad and those experiences of desolation and hopelessness and all the feelings that I felt where I was down about, you know, myself as a person and the wife that I was at the time and the person that I was at the time, and just realizing that that was happening for all the greater reason as to who you see today. But getting back to the blue lunar night, and I'm going to read, I don't know why I closed that because I'm not, oh wait, I have that here. Let me just read to you the importance of the 20 solar tribes. And so blue night is the third tribe out of the 20. So 3 may be significant. But the 20 solar tribes reveal 20 unique archetypes functioning as 20 distinct evolutionary keys for the realization of human potential. Each tribe is a storehouse of information. They can be understood in both a personal and macrocosmic sense, offering universal teachings. Each of the glyph forms beckon us to travel into their symbology to gain intuitive insight into the essential aspect of life's mystery that they represent. In addition to its name, each tribe has three specific codes, three specific code words, exact keys to unlock their action, power, and essence. As succinct clues, these code words, the action, power, and essence, are the ideal point of focus to journey into the 20 distinct realms. The paragraphs shared for each glyph are inspired by the code words and merely reflect the various insights one can derive from contemplation of these codes. The tribes are arranged here in accord with the counterclockwise flow of the 4 directions. Always red, which is east, white, which is north, blue, which is west, and yellow, which is south. So, blue night is, of course, blue. And that is dealing with west. West dealing with transformation. And it actually says that here, blue/west transforms. And so this is energy of the solar plexus. And it also is related to the right ring finger. And also too, on my way to get the things that I needed after I had already passed the Applebee's, I was calling my friend. As I was calling my friend, and I have a car phone, so I don't have to dial anything, but I was kind of out of it just by the way that I was feeling. And so I was going to change lanes. There was some man that was behind me who was like super speedy, wanting to get to where he was going in a quick, fast hurry. And I had the right of way totally all the way through. I went to switch over in lanes after he had already like quick switched behind me to try to get by me. But I went ahead and went in front of him anyway. He didn't like that, honked at me, stuck his middle finger up at me. And so right when she picked up the phone, I mentioned that to her. She thought that was hilarious. And I said, you know what? I said, you know, that's the finger of Saturn. And so he's actually giving me blessings while he thinks, you know, he's just over there mad and giving me blessings at the same time with his middle finger. She just thought it was hilarious. I love her. But I'll go ahead and just talk about Blue Night and give an overall gist. I won't read the entire paragraph, but I'm going to give the daily affirmation for today for Blue Lunar Night, because the lunar part of the Blue Night is the actual tone of what we're in for today. That's the tone for today is lunar. And going back to that lunar energy, it's that cold energy where it's that moon energy, full moon time we just came from, that can give disillusionment, confusion, disorientation. Mainly causing, I feel, which is mainly causing us to go within. Trusting your intuition, going within that warmth, that sun, that sunlight within you that you know to be true, that will bring light to that disillusionment that's on the outside of us. Okay, so Blue Night overall, again, it goes back to the number 3, but it's mainly about dreams, abundance, and intuition. That's the action, the power, and the essence. So dreams, the action, abundance, the power, intuition, the essence, which is pretty much what I just said. Okay, so I'll just read the quote that's here, and then I'll go into the affirmation for Blue Lunar Night, and then just kind of touch on the Galactic Activation Portal. I don't want to keep this too long. It's 36 minutes. I'll be talking all day. I'm about to go eat another good meal for today and enjoy this wonderful Sunday. It's been a great morning since I woke up. Again, I slept late. I don't sleep late. I usually wake up pretty early, and I slept super late. It was 9:33 when I woke up, which I feel is like super late for me, but it needed to happen, and I'm glad that it happened. I'm not complaining. So the quote here is that what occurs around you and within you reflects your own mind and shows you the dream you are weaving. And this is by the Ywahoo Lineage. Ywahoo. Just a note there. And the way that this is spelled is Ywahoo. So I almost want to say I might not be pronouncing that right, but I feel like I am. But there may be some distinctions there, I do feel, having to do with this lineage. And so if you want to research that, I'll leave this quote and that information in the description box as well, along with the way to access this calendar. And so that's the overall energy of Blue Night. The affirmation for Blue Lunar Night, which is today, the energy for today, the cosmic energy for today, is that I polarize in order to dream, stabilizing breath. I seal the input of abundance with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of abundance. Isn't that beautiful? And I usually say these affirmations 3 times. That's another 3 right there. But I feel that the importance of 3 brings me back to that action, the power, and the essence, and just like sealing the deal, almost like I was doing with Applebee's and revisiting and bringing that closure. So having an opening and then a closure by repeating this 3 times. And so I'll repeat it 2 more times. I polarize in order to dream, stabilizing breath. I seal the input of abundance with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of abundance. I polarize in order to dream, stabilizing breath. I seal the input of abundance with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of abundance. And abundance not just meaning material, but the overall energetic feeling within your spirit and how you feel in the moment and what it is that you are doing with everything and everyone that is in your presence in the now. And so I just encourage you to really feel into that affirmation if you haven't already. And just kind of take this day, you know, if you feel the need to just go with what your soul is speaking, and you can't go wrong. Go with your intuition always. But especially today, I feel, you know, if it's speaking to you where you may get invitations, don't feel like you have to be obligated to go to every single thing you get invited to. If it doesn't feel right for you, don't go. You can say no. And I guarantee you, there will be other opportunities for you to be able to say yes, where you may feel different and you may feel more comfortable. You may feel stronger to where you feel you can handle those energies. I got invited to something yesterday, and this was probably the 4th or 5th time that my neighbor has invited me to something. And I just did not, like, I was feeling it at first, and then I just kind of felt into the energy, and I can visualize things as they're happening. And I just seen that situation, and it just seemed very chaotic for me. And that's a lot of energy for me to be around, especially at the time of day that it was taking place. And as much as I tried in the physical to be there, I went ahead and took care of myself first. And then this whole situation with the Applebee's kind of took over and took precedent. And so I gave my loyalty to that, which had everything to do with myself. And I told myself, you know, if I do have time, once I get finished with this and taking care of myself, then maybe I'll go by there. And like I said, when I left Applebee's, I was floating so much so that I realized I got home. I said, oh shoot, I totally forgot to stop by, because this place was actually kind of on the way. Like, not necessarily, but I could have made it to where it was on the way. Totally forgot about it. And I said, well, you know, if it was meant for me to be there, I would have remembered and I would have made myself go. But now that I'm here, I'm stationed, and I'm just gonna go with the flow, take myself on upstairs. And I did everything that I did and had a wonderful night, and I don't regret it. I do feel, you know, she'll continue, my neighbor, to, you know, invite me. She's a wonderful lady with a very good spirit. She doesn't judge at all. And so I trust that. And, you know, it'll present itself again. And I'm sure, you know, I'll be in a different place, and I'll be a little stronger to be able to handle if I feel up to it. If I feel, you know, I'm up to handling these energies, you know, all in time, all in the flow. It just depends on the moment and, you know, what you go with. And so, with that being said, before I finish, oh my goodness, this is getting so hard. Sorry, not sorry. But let me just read as I end this here. But it's all about you going with your flow. Let me read to you about the importance of the Galactic Activation Portal. And I had everything ready to go too. I promise I did. I'm sorry. Okay, so here it is. This is the legend, so it kind of gives an idea of the breakdown of everything that is in this calendar. I love this calendar, and I'm so glad that it was presented to me, that I actually presented it to myself, because this is what I brought into my atmosphere. Let me clear my throat. So I'll just read this, and then I'm going to close. This is what we're closing with. And so I hope that these messages were helpful for you, that me sharing my experience was helpful for you as well. And that any of you going through this situation, if you felt this way and had a certain feeling about the way things were yesterday, I hope this is helping to kind of bring some relation to, and bring light to that lunar energy that is taking place right now, because the full moon energy is still resonating. It takes, I would say, you know, 5 days or so to come into, like, once the energy of the full moon comes 5 days before, it's the strongest, 5 days before going into that actual goodness, like the way of the milk, like the actual full moon. And then once the full moon hits and kind of goes down and peak, it's 5 days after that as well, where that energy is still strong. And so we're still very strong in that full moon energy. And the full moon I go according to Sidereal Astrology, which is the actual placements in the sky. The full moon was in between, at its peak, in between the zodiac signs of Sagittarius and Capricorn, where it's about the expansion and adventure and, you know, dipping that toe in the water, being that that risk, you know, taking the risk if you feel, you know, if you're feeling froggy, but then also being disciplined and having that balance and structure still within yourself and balancing those two. So then again, that goes back to the warmth, that Sagittarius energy, and then the coldness coming from the lunar energy, where it's more Saturnian, because that's the Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, where Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. And so with the, I'm just going to end with the Galactic Activation Portal and just read this to you. But again, I hope that these messages were helpful for a lot of you out there, for anyone who comes across this message, and that, you know, what I'm sharing is bringing some kind of enlightenment or awareness, or you being able to relate overall with what you may be feeling. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, let's just go ahead and read this. I know I said this about 5 times. I was going to read it. Go ahead and get to it. Okay, so Galactic Activation Portals. This symbol signify, and this is the symbol that is in the calendar here, that will show up on the Galactic Activation Portal days. Yesterday was also a rainbow energy day, where with the rainbow energy, it's important to, one of the things that you can do is visualize the earth. And I like to visualize myself on top of the earth with a center core, like a beautiful vine, a very golden or super green vine wrapped around my feet, going down into the earth's core as I'm connecting to the earth, tying to the earth's core in diamond fashion. And then I visualize myself on top of the earth, but then surrounded with the rainbow energy. So just picture yourself, or just picture the earth in general, however you visualize, whatever comes to you. But with the rainbow days and the rainbow wave days, one of the best ways that we can heal the earth is the energy, utilizing this energy and visualizing it and bringing that energy within ourselves back into the earth. And so one of the things that you do on a rainbow wave day, which was yesterday, July 24th, 2021, is to visualize the earth and then see a golden, or not a golden bubble, but an energetic bubble that's in rainbow fashion. And the reason I said golden are the archangels. That comes from the archangels, the golden energy. And so I guess I'm utilizing that as well, and I'm feeling that too. And so some of you may be resonating with that right now as you're watching this. But the rainbow energy, you see that just kind of going around the earth. And I guess we can do it this way because it's counterclockwise. The importance of the direction is very important as well. And so clockwise. Clockwise energy. I was going, you know what? Whatever way I'm not going to say it, you know, this or that. Whatever comes to you, because I did do counterclockwise first, I noticed. And so that's important too. It could be both ways that are very important at this time. And I'm thinking of the Sagittarius and Capricorn energy that I had just mentioned, with that possibly being everything having to do with that, because Jupiter and Saturn coming together are like a polarity in itself. And the affirmation today had everything to do with polarization. So getting to finally reading about galactic activation portals. The symbol signifies a galactic activation portal day. These days invite you to enter gateways of expanded consciousness, expansion, Sagittarius, Jupiter, and amplify your awareness of energy flows and information exchange. With the 260-day galactic cycle, there are 52 portals. These specific kin form the loom of the Maya, which is a bilateral symmetry pattern that reflects the basic pattern of our DNA double helix. Integrating the galactic code of light into the genetic code of life, this portal formation is a resonant structure linked to the activation of our full DNA potential. How about them apples? Crunch, crunch. So, there's the message there. I just wanted to share this. Again, I hope that these messages were helpful. I wish you all a very, very awesome day. Whenever you're getting this message, whenever you are listening to this wonderful message, and I just send you all of my love. I send you all blessings and massive amounts of abundance. It's all here for the taking. It's just about, excuse me, the actions of you and what you choose to do with the energies that you have within. Peace, love, and blessings. Do take great care. I love you all.